48s. But those infield suites and the Victory Lane here in California are kind of Penske hallmarks. Victory Lane is in front of Pit Road, right in front of the main grandstand, which is a great place for it.
Don't forget James Hilton. He
was a 48, yes, for many years.
He won a race at Talladega.
That's right. I couldn't help, Mike. We were at an event last night honoring Richard Petty at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles, and I went through the Dan Gurney display.
Yes.
And when I see that 48, I had never really put that together with Jimmy Johnson and some of his paint schemes, and there's one with the dark navy blue, the white stripe down the middle. I'm wondering, was that tied or thought of tied to Dan Gurney and his 48?
We'll have to ask, because Dan was my hero growing up, and to see that display of the Spa-winning Formula One car, the runner-up car at Indy, the Cuda that he raced in the Trans Am, the Toyota prototypes that he built later. You know what, All-American Racers, final note on Dan Gurney, what his company's doing now? The Elon Musk SpaceX rockets, when they land, the legs that come out from the rocket to help it land and stabilize are built by All-American Racers, now run by Dan's son, Justin.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, this is something I really like about this racetrack here at Auto Club Speedway, as you see Kurt Busch go through turns 1 and 2. And I'm not talking about the bumps in the car going up and down the back straightaway.
Hipping and hopping along.
Watch these cars as they cross over those seams. So you'll see some cars with their left sides down the apron through 3 and 4. But especially in 1 and 2, it's a very fast racetrack, very fast entry speed, but also a very flat, tight corner through 1 and 2. And as you cross over those seams, the car really will jump out from underneath you. And you'll see as we follow Matt Kenseth, get him get on that seam with those right sides, and right rear will step out a little bit, and that happens throughout the corner. You have to cross over him getting into the corner. You have to cross back over him on the exit of the corner.
I always like to look and see what the track record is. It's 38.194. Blaney just ran a 38.40 first time out. So that track record is 38.194, 188.5 miles an hour. What do you think, guys?
One thing I've seen, DW, happen here is when this track is when there's no rubber on the track, pretty cool temperatures right now, has a tremendous amount of grip, and it will until that rubber gets laid down. So sometimes we don't actually see the speeds pick up in qualifying. I think what you're seeing there out of Blaney, whatever we see coming out of this practice, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the front row is going to also have here later in qualifying.
I thought maybe you thought it was because he's a rookie and you just kind of go out there and hang it out.
What you don't know, you don't know.
That's it, brother.
Ricky Stenhouse rolling around the apron. Ryan Blaney quickest. Ryan Newman. Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, the Fast Five right now.
Does momentum mean anything, Mike? Does it mean anything when you won the week before and you come to the next track? Or
even just for that graphic, had your best finish of the year 1 week ago.
Look at Newman, second quick. Already, and we don't. I'm not saying that we don't talk about him every week, but I don't talk about him being a fast car every week. But I think that's just the momentum that they bring in here.
And we did last week. We showed that he was on track to have his first top 10 finish of the season, kept working his way up, and then he was in a position to win and capitalize.
That's the key. You have to put yourself in a position to win. It's like hitting a 3-pointer at the buzzer. The other team outplayed you all day long. Your guy throws a half-court 3-pointer up and he makes it and they win the game. They stayed in the game.
What I love is that message is now going to be sent throughout the garage area to other teams that might get themselves in that same position and get a win as well.
Can't win if you don't gamble.
Tired out fella and happy in Victory Lane.
Yeah, the hottest day is 95 degrees. I think it was the hottest race day we had there ever.
We saw temperatures inside Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car, 140 degrees. So that was incredibly difficult conditions for these drivers to be.
But I did not know he had blistered feet.
I didn't know that either.
Wow. So there are your winners. And isn't it interesting that with 10 laps to go, none of these 4 drivers were in position to win?
It's amazing how this year has gone. I mean, the cars that you expect to win, they don't win.
Well, we saw that a year ago right here at Auto Club Speedway when Jimmy Johnson won this race. Kevin Harvick pretty much dominated towards the end of the race and comes down and takes tire. They take the 48 came and took tires and ended up winning the race. So we could see that happen again this weekend.
Yeah, we'll probably see this guy right here doing about what he did last weekend too. He's going to be really fast here. Had that race won. I mean, good grief. What do? He's got the best car. He's out front. He's leading.
Well, you heard his in-car radio when he saw what brought out that caution flag. I mean, it was just complete disbelief.
That's just
now, last week, Kyle's mantra was, everything is fine. Oh, everything is great. Everything is great. Well, look at this. There are now Everything is Great t-shirts, and all proceeds will benefit the Kyle Busch Foundation. How is it we can get Everything is Great shirts in 1 week and we still don't have JeffGluck.com hats? Come on, Junior.
Here's the best program. Here's the best part.
For 22, I didn't know. The irony. That is so great. $22.
If you don't think
I wonder
NASCAR
why they're
drivers
$22.
don't know how to have a good time with a difficult situation and raise money for a great cause, that's awesome. That's perfect. That's the way you handle a situation like that.
Good thing he didn't have a beef with Michael McDowell. Those shirts would be $95.
Oh, we get it. No, but you get 3 for that. If you want
3 for $95. Yeah, but $22.
No, that's
all for charity. I think maybe we can wear them on Sunday.
I want to find out how many of those shirts Joey Logano's bought.
Here's Jamie.
Well, and Joey inspired that T-shirt that said, I wear the fire suit in the family. So he's raking it in. We'll see if anything comes of this weekend. Anyway, you see this sign here, the Front Runners Garage. The best thing about the Front Runners Garage and being in the top in points, you get 2 pit stalls per 1 car, unlike the other garages where they're packed in there 2 cars per stall, basically. So you look down here at the very end, Kyle Larson, the 42, leading the points for the first time in his career. He's finished second the last 3 weeks in a row. He's out on track right now, and I just talked to his crew chief, and they are thrilled to be down here. A little extra room to work, and he said after last year here they want to get a little redemption, but they really feel like a win is in their future, guys.
So, Jamie, where are you? Is that a fan walk through the garage?
This is an area where fans can walk, and you can look down. It's a great place to watch practice. I think I'm going to hang out here, but you get to see the front runners and points. Joey Logano down here, and you look to the other side, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch. You can watch all the mechanics, see what they're looking at and what they're doing. It's a great opportunity for fans, and it's great to be a front runner, to have this extra space to work in. We don't see that very often.
Yeah, we've seen the Kyle and Kyle show here in the past, and it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see it again this week.
Well, like Harry Gant says, second place pays pretty good, too. Look at Kyle Larson there atop the points with Chase Elliott.
I think they're about to change that here pretty soon to building up quite a few wins. They are really, and I'm so impressed with Chip Ganassi Racing, and it seems like both Jamie McMurray as well as Kyle Larson are running much better, more competitive out on the track. Speeds look good. Those finishes by Kyle Larson, but also this guy, Jamie McMurray. We've seen some great performances out of him already this year as well.
16 quick right now on the board, so Larson's a little quicker.
Now, Martin Truex Jr. just jumped up to second on the board, so it's a Ford Fastest Blaney, a Toyota Truex, and a Chevrolet Ryan Newman. Larry McReynolds joins us.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr., he's one of the drivers that elected to maybe work on qualifying trim. You heard Brad Keselowski tell Jamie Little he'd be in qualifying trim. I looked for Kevin Harvick in the 4, but got a little information about this 78 team. Think back to Charlotte last fall, clutch issues. Twice this year, clutch issues, including last week, and they get their clutches and their throwout bearings. They come with the engines from Toyota Racing Development, so it's the same as Joe Gibbs Racing. But they run their own pedal assembly, and what they found this week is the stop was off, which was keeping the throwout bearing engaged, and it was burning the throwout bearing out. Eric Jones at Atlanta was borderline of having one burn up as well.
Well, I'm glad they got to the bottom of that. Whoa. Trevor Bayne?
Well, did they?
Well, let's
hope so.
Certainly.
On top of old Sparky here.
But yes, usually when you have an anomaly, but let's look at this.
Whoa, that's big time right there, boys.
Yeah, that's trailing arms and a lot of
track
things
bar
underneath
mount,
there. That
maybe even the track. I don't know.
They're definitely getting the back of that car down.
Woo.
And that's what you have to do on a big track like this. One of the things that's really evolved over the years is not just aerodynamics, but it's how they've lowered the cars not to take advantage of aerodynamics and the center of gravity and get the cars lower throughout the corner. We all know if you get the weight lower in the car, it's going to go through the corner faster. But now we're also sealing the cars up, creating more downforce, less drag down the straightaway. That's why we're still able to see the speeds that we see, even though NASCAR has taken downforce out of these cars overall.
And I finally can say this with some confidence. I really like the direction that Roush Fenway is going in.
Yep.
With the Stenhouse's great finish last week, they show signs of doing things that make them fast, just like we saw the 6 car there. That's signs of them getting better.
Now let's go back to Martin Truex, who had some trouble getting going to make his run.
Yeah, starter just worked, so not sure what it is. I guess it was just in a weird spot. Changed it, I guess.
And the team had to run out to pit road to bump start him to get him out on track, so he made a few laps and brought it back in. So the team working on it, going to just make sure that that's not an issue they have to work forward. But he did shut it off and turn it over right before coming back in the garage and said it worked that time. So we'll keep our eye on the 78.
I guess you get a little gun shy.
Gremlins, just a lot of gremlins.
Doing a little surfing down the back straightaway here.
There comes a time when the hard way is the only way.
NASCAR is west. Rising Stars in the Xfinity Series tackle California 3:30 Eastern tomorrow on FS1. The NASCAR Cup Series takes center stage Sunday. The Auto Club 400, 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox. On our West Coast tour, we've seen Dolphins and Whales, and we've seen Mark Truex steal a win in Las Vegas. Ryan Newman hold them all off in the duel in the desert. And this is the final race of our West Coast swing. Well, hello. Lunch.
Hey,
hello.
He's got lunch.
11
right
months out of the year, this is my home. What are you doing here now?
Yeah, right.
That is not a good place to be.
Not in broad daylight.
What is he doing?
I think he's waiting for the light to change so he can cross the road. Man. That could be our Liberty Mutual spotter package right there. That I believe it's an owl. Well, and with all that head turn, yes.
They've thrown the red flag to...
I've heard of dartfish, but...
And he's got his prey down there.
You're right. He
beneath
does.
his claws. But... So, why did the owl cross the road, and where's Digger?
Now, what was it, a groundhog or something we saw them try to get off the racetrack in? No. Was it Michigan?
Yeah, but remember last year, remember those bees that were in this flag stand? We had a beehive. Look at the beehive.
Now, this was, be careful. Yep, that was last year. And of course, they are protected environmentally, so you can't just go out there with a can of Raid and knock off the bees. You have to relocate them. I believe the owl has been safely brought under control.
I think they're just a little on the wild side around here this morning.
They did chase him around quite a bit here. And look, that thing is knee high. It's big. We did note it does have a hurt wing. He's flying just fine, but when he lands, just not quite right. And we're told it could be a she. We don't know. We don't know anything. We're just kind of watching
much about owls.
Right along with you. Pretty, though.
Yeah, beautiful animal.
Now, see all those cars parked against the wall? They are in time out, and 15-minute penalties. The clock has stopped, so their time is not counting right now. The 6, the 19, the 24, the 33, and this whole list of 15-minute penalties. We're told Timmy Hill will be off that clock when we come back. And then 2 30-minute penalties. Eric Jones and Matt DiBenedetto for failing both pre-practice or race inspection and qualifying inspection. So a lot of cars in timeout today. Is this a little like Groundhog Day?
It is. We've seen this before. It just didn't have wings.
All right, now, some places they call them groundhogs. Where I grew up in New England, I guess they were woodchucks. Pretty much.
I just want to say that. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Caught him. He got away.
Didn't catch him that easy. They made it look easy there. It was not easy.
That's not Punxsutawney Phil or Pete.
Some kind of game here they're playing.
Yep.
Put the groundhog in the bucket.
A little bit of everything.
I'm telling you, it's just like Wild Kingdom. We got bees, we got groundhogs, we got owls. Somewhere out there's a race car.
Track is open, and
we've got horses. About 750 of them underneath the hood, right?
That's right. So this place that you stayed, did they have unicorns?
I was waiting for one to come around the corner next.
You should have been out here with me, my friend.
I mean, Fantasyland. Wonderful. Long straightaway.
Just listen to that engine.
Yep.
I mean, that thing is laboring, man. They really get the tongue run out when it gets to the end of the straightaway here.
One of the toughest things, and there's so many unique things about this track that make it really challenging, but I saw it right there as Kevin Harvick got to the center of the corner. He went to get in the gas really hard there, and you can see the back end step out, and that's a very difficult part of the racetrack. To get the drive off on a big, fast racetrack like this can be pretty challenging at times. Here's Kevin Harvick going down the back straightaway.
Look at that skirt. Look how much air.
Look at that right there, how it's going up and down. Those are inches at the back of that car traveling on the left side.
And a lot of sidewall deflection on that left rear tire. My gosh. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick's in qualifying trim, and he will remain there all practice long. And I just talked to the team last week after the race. NASCAR found an unapproved track bar slider assembly. As a result, they said it's a one-race suspension for crew chief Rodney Childers, $25,000, 10 owner and driver points. However, the team is appealing that, so crew chief Rodney Childers is here, and he's in a different location. A lot of the crew chiefs opt to stand on top of the suites here so they can see the track, but Rodney is here, so they'll have to wait another week to appeal that and see if they win or not. If they lose, then Rodney will be away for the Martinsville race.
You know, used to when they confiscate parts or things were illegal, they put them on display. I'd like to see a slider, track bar, assembly, whatever that was, put on display. I'd like to see what one looks like.
Guys, here's actually what happened. After the Phoenix race, NASCAR, they took the first and the second place cars of Ryan Newman and Kyle Larson back to the R&D Center in Concord. They also take a random. It just happened that the random was the sixth place finishing car of Kevin Harvick in the 4, and when they got it back there, to Jamie's point, in the rear of the car, they had unapproved track bar mounts and support, and that's what this penalty was all about. As I stressed all week long, no matter what you put on these race cars, even if it's a different nut in the bolt, you have to submit it to NASCAR for approval. They did not go through this process.
Larry, can you give us a little more detail on the Keselowski penalty?
Yeah, Mike, the laser inspection station that you have to go through before and after qualifying in the race, when they went through the laser inspection station after the race, they exceeded the tolerance on rear toe and rear skew. And the more you have there, that certainly helps the performance of the car. And we knew it was a level 1 penalty. You see right here, Crew Chief Paul Wolf fined $65,000, suspended for 3 races, a loss of 35 driver and owner points, and that 5th place finish was deemed encumbered. I talked to Travis Geisler with Penske this morning. He said right now the plan is not to appeal, and he said, Larry, honestly, it's like just a lot of little things stacked up that put us outside the tolerance of the rear toe and skew.
Thanks, Larry.
There's one thing I can tell you. The most unlucky person in that garage is the random.
I think that what I'm seeing and hearing out of this is we always talk to these teams about how do you get an advantage. There's so many rules. There's the templates. There's the skew. There's all these things that NASCAR continues to monitor and narrow down. Well, what do they always say? Oh, it's a lot of little things that we have to do to make the car get a little more side force, a little more downforce, a little more mechanical grip.
Chase Elliott has jumped up into the top 5, giving you 2 Fords, 2 Chevys, and 1 Toyota. There's a German tourist speaking with Ryan Newman. Oh, that's Michael. Catching up. Ryan Newman made his last stop on lap 258. Went from 7th to 1st by staying out and then held them off to win. Vince?
Snapped a 127 race winless streak with that victory. What a great day it was last week for Ryan Newman and company at Phoenix. I mentioned earlier in the show that you're having some issues with some blisters on your feet. How hot was the floorboard in that car last week?
The guys told me on Monday that they had a strip underneath they got little temperature strips that pop each number, and it popped 320 underneath my right leg on the inside the race car. So it was definitely hot. Just a lot of heat off the car. Ambient heat was up, but obviously the headers were cooking me and whatever else. So did a little bit more work, homework-wise, to make the car a little bit cooler inside. But the straightaway speeds here should be a good bit better.
Now, little-known story, not only did you win that race last week, and it's interesting, we saw that owl on the track today. You actually saved a baby owl, helped save a baby owl last week in Phoenix.
Yeah, I walked out of my hotel room, and there was a guy standing there, and he had something in his hand. I walked over to check out what it was, and there was a couple other people around there, and it was a baby owl, and the mama was up in the net, next to her nest. Evidently, the baby fell out, but it didn't have its feathers to fly back up. So the rehabber took it and took it off, and we'll obviously turn it back loose at some point. We do that with deer at home, so it was kind of cool to see it with an owl. But
you take the rescue ranch on the road, even, don't you?
Well, I didn't do much on that one. I was just kind of the observant.
Big week all the way around for Ryan Newman last week.
You know what we used to put under our feet? We had a piece of aluminum where our feet set. Plywood. You won't believe it or not. 3/4 plywood. Yeah. And that was a great, it kept the heat off your feet, and it just worked. I never really knew why. It wasn't one of those space-age materials like they use today. It was just a 3/4 piece of plywood, but it worked.
But still, transmitting 320.
Yeah, that might catch some plywood on fire.
I got a feeling you'd be saying, I smell wood burning.
Yes.
Well, I know I've seen some of these floorboards in the cars today, and they've honeycombed it now, where there's space and there's basically layers of carbon fiber with a honeycomb material in the middle of it to create sort of that air pocket to keep it from radiating up through. I mean, it's been a long time since I know I had any issues burning my feet, so certainly that's something that they're going to have to look at there in Ryan Newman's car. Wood
burns at 572 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was only halfway there if he'd had a piece of plywood there. He'd been good.
Austin Dillon on a flyer. He is currently 7th on the speed chart.
I see that, but that's old school. And Junior Johnson was the one that told me that's what I said, what do y'all put on there anyway? It did not ever get that hot. He said, plywood. I said, you got to be kidding. That's old school. You use what you had.
Austin Dillon won the pole here last year. Now that lap 39.0. His fast lap 38.6. Joey Logano coming up to speed. Remember, you can get your Everything is Great t-shirt for $22. Go to I think it's KyleBuschFoundation.com. But you search around, I'm sure you'll find it.
Now, watching Joey Logano here come out on the racetrack, this is something I'm going to be really interested to watch later in qualifying. We see a lot of different grooves and lines that work well here. We see that in the race. We actually will see a little bit of that in qualifying as well. I would think that round one, you'll see them right around the bottom of the racetrack. But as the tires start to wear and fall off, this track's very abrasive. You will see the drivers start searching around the racetrack. We saw Joey Logano coming up to speed the last time as he went through turns 1 and 2 as he enters now very high up on the racetrack. That's a great line for the race. Will it work for somebody like Joey for qualifying as well?
Yeah. All right, Darrell. No, why did Ari Luyendyk never burn his feet in a race car?
He wore wooden shoes, I guess. I don't know.
Counties here, and there's a ski area up there. That is the closest skiing to Los Angeles. Prominent feature of the landscape as we look northward on the front straightaway here in Fontana. Beautiful scenery out here, but well, at least one team had some issues on the drive to California. Jamie?
Yes, it was the 77 hauler coming from Colorado to Fontana Wednesday night, just after midnight, about 20 miles outside of Las Vegas. They were hit by a pedestrian car, had extensive damage on the truck part, the white part on the front end. That is rented because theirs had to go to the shop. The good news, though, the back part, the trailer that carries all the race cars and all the equipment, that was just fine. So everything intact on the back end. The front part, though, rented. The person who hit them, though, he ran from the scene, but they later apprehended him. So you see there's a Nevada license plate on here. So the team got here in one piece, but not without a little drama. You know, one of Tony Stewart's longtime sponsors, Rusty Rush, has a truck center outside Vegas and rented them a truck to make it here to Fontana. It's just another something to put on the list of things that these two teams have had happen to them. They just think back to Daytona. I mean, they were having a terrible time down there just trying to get the cars on the racetrack. And the clutch gremlin and just so many things that they've had little things happening to them. But they've got a win, and Eric Jones got some great finishes to start the season. Jones was awesome last week. Yeah, they're running great. Cars are fast.
It just makes me think about all these teams, majority of the teams being from the Southeast, coming from North Carolina, Virginia, those areas. And yet here's the one team that has it close by, Colorado, coming to this West Coast swing, and then they have an issue like that.
I just think, Jeff, though, they've hired, I think last week, Larry, you told us 40 new people over there to go to work in the shop. You got to get all those people acclimated. You got to get them into the system, and it takes a little bit of time, and I think maybe that's part of the issue.
Watching Clint Boyer. He's in the Rush Truck Center's car this week by chance for Stewart Haas Racing.
18th quick.
One of the top Toyotas I don't see having posted a time as yet. Vince?
That's right. Denny Hamlin, 45 minutes into this first practice, still has not turned a lap. In fact, Denny just got to the car, climbed in, and is getting ready to go out. They're going to make a couple of qualifying runs, and that will be it. I spoke with crew chief Mike Wheeler, and he said, well, first of all, you don't want to go out right away. We feel like the track is dirty, but for the most part, you get 4 sets of tires for 3 practices, and we don't want to go out and just waste a bunch of tires in this first practice. So they're going to go out, make a couple of qualifying runs, and that will be it. It will be very little work for Denny Hamlin in this first practice session.
Thanks, Vince.
You can see they're actually adjusting that steering wheel. So we flash back. He's had some
tough time here a few years ago. He enjoyed Logano.
Great battle here in the closing laps of this race. Guy gets underneath it, gets loose. Look at on the outside, Kyle Busch going by for the win.
That was
a huge impact.
No safer barrier at that time. Barrier's been put there since, but big hit.
Compression fracture of 2 of the lumbar vertebrae in the back for Hamlin.
Just to back up a little bit, Mike, up in Bristol, I think the week before, Logano and Hamlin had an issue. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with that. That was hard racing coming to checkered flag, but just another one of those situations that, couldn't have been avoided.
Now, this is following up on something we talked about earlier in the season. NASCAR has implemented a new mount for the steering column, and it's a safety feature. We've seen some crashes, especially a crash like what happened with Denny Hamlin, that head-on shot, and it can drive the steering wheel back towards the driver. They have a more beefed-up mount in there now. The downside to that mount is that it's very difficult to adjust. So obviously, Denny Hamlin got in the car, felt like the steering wheel needed to be adjusted. In order to do that, they've had to get underneath the dash, and it does take some time to do it these days now, but also much safer.
Jeff, I think also that stems back a little bit to that wreck that Kyle Busch had at Daytona when he went off the racetrack and hit a concrete wall. And that just shows, I think, the difference between a safer barrier that we hit today, just what happened to Denny Hamlin, same thing that happened to Kyle Busch, how much these safer barriers have protected and saved these guys from getting hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Both inside and outside the track here.
And one of the things that made that impact so severe, besides the safer barrier, was also this apron down here. You saw in that one shot where we showed the 11 of Denny Hamlin, as he started to make contact with that wall, the car actually lifted up because of the angle, and they've actually flattened that area down a little bit since then. So the car compressed into the track as well as into the wall. As you can see, as he's sliding, see how the car hit that that angle there.
Yeah, that dip.
So in that dip, I think there's also a drainage grate there. I mean, it was about the worst case scenario you could ask for in how it hit that area, compressed down, then hit the wall. Your body just cannot take that.
And I don't care who you are. The hardest thing you can do when you're headed for a wall at that speed is relax, let go of the wheel, and know that you're going to hit. You tense up, hold on for dear life.
Let's go to the West Coast.
If you can't be in front of your TV set to catch NASCAR Race Hub, it's now available on the go. The Race Hub podcast launches this Monday. You'll never miss an episode. So head over to iTunes or your favorite podcast app and subscribe to the Race Hub podcast now. Jamie McMurray has gone to the top of the board, and Denny Hamlin emerges from the garage to post the second fastest time. So the Fast Five is now McMurray, Hamlin, Blaney, Truex, Keselowski.
I'm just shocked how close we are to the track record here in practice with this much less downforce in the car. And I think what's happening is, first of all, the teams have done a great job. Goodyear's done a great job with the tire. But I think it's just that top speed. There's so little drag on these long straightaways for whatever they're losing in the corner. They're making up for it on the straightaway.
All right, so the fastest three, Darrell. I know you like numbers.
Yes.
1, 1-1, and 2-1.
I like numbers.
What's one of the winningest numbers here in Southern California in NASCAR?
11.
121.
121, yeah. Dan Gurney. I know y'all were talking about 48, and I always think of Gurney as being 121 because he won all those races at Riverside.
For the Wood Brothers.
For the Wood Brothers, and 121.
That's right.
Can't have three-digit numbers anymore.
Nope.
After he won all those races, so we're not going to put up with it.
I don't think that's why.
It may not be.
but you're right. This is Ty Dillon.
We've seen a lot of technology in this visor, as you're seeing here with Ty Dillon. And look how it has its own pivots.
Yeah.
A lot of the teams are designing these themselves, and you can pull it down. And so if the sun's going to be in your eyes, you pull that down. No aerodynamics that go along with it because of cars, the drivers being inside these cars and the windshields and all those things. But also one nice little area to display whatever it is you want to display, a sponsor. But the real function of this is that sun. And here in California, going down this back straightaway, as that sun starts to set, you definitely will have a lot of sun in your eyes late in the day.
That'll sure come into play for qualifying that we'll have for you on FS1 later this afternoon. Kyle Busch on a run. 2:02 into the corner.
Yeah, that's the back straightaway. It should see a lot more speed down this front straightaway.
2,500 feet down the back, so it's not that long, but it's 3,100 feet around the front here down into turn one. So you're going to see a lot higher speed going in.
Already 193 miles per hour at the start-finish line.
Wow, 2:07.
When she went into the O's, I got a little nervous. 2-0.
And I'm pretty sure this is a race run. I don't think that this is a qualifying run. So you'll see a much faster top speed when they go to qualify. They'll be wide open coming through 3 and 4, carrying a lot of momentum down the front straightaway. So you'll see, I think we're definitely going to see at least 210 or more going in the front straightaway, down into the first corner.
What is fascinating about that to me is how little banking this track is. I mean, it's only 14 degrees, and you carry that kind of speed into that kind of banking. Man.
Well, remember, this track was designed for IndyCar and NASCAR racing. Vince?
As Jeff speculated, a race run, obviously, for Kyle Busch. This is the final run, in fact, in race trim for the 18, and then they'll switch over to qualifying trim. Kyle was in a very jovial mood when he came in and walked up to the crew this morning, had some laughs before he climbed into the car. Certainly frustrated last week after leading the most laps and ended up finishing third in that race that certainly looked like he was going to win, but certainly seemed to be any carryover effect. Very happy, Kyle Busch, as he climbed into the car here at California today, where he's won 3 times.
Well, I think, Jeff, even though you're denied a victory, when you come out of a track running as well as Kyle Busch ran, you know, that goes in it's got to go in the plus column even without the win.
Oh, absolutely. And that was, the best run they've had so far this year. So I think a lot of positives came out of it. And yeah, sure, you're going to be frustrated when you don't get the breaks that you want. But we've seen this happen a lot this year. Those that are dominating the races are not getting the wins. It's those that are getting the fortunate breaks or making some good calls, and that's what we saw last week. But if they run like that, he knows from experience those wins will come.
And coming in here, he's won 2 of the last 3 here. So here's Ty Dillon.
Just look how much moving around. I can't wait to see him go down the back straightaway and hit some of those big bumps. It'll launch you up out of this.
It's to go in pre-qualifying practice. And new name at the top of the speed chart. He's on top of the points. Kyle Larson.
And what is significant about a 38.08?
Oh, unofficially, it's a new track record.
Yes.
Jamie.
You guys are on a roll today. Joey Logano out of the car. He already went out in race run there. Auto Club Speedway, Auto Club sponsoring you. Little added pressure to maybe step up and win this thing?
I just really want to win here. They got a really cool trophy too. I think there's a lot of reasons to come out here to Auto Club Speedway and put this car in victory lane. Obviously, it looked good in victory lane, right? But I think it's really fast. It took off pretty good in race trim. Seems like the speed hangs in there pretty long. I know there's not many cars in race trim, but the ones that are, it looks like we're able to keep up with them pretty well. And we'll switch over to qualifying trim and see what the one-lap speed has got.
Your teammate, Brad, he's in qualifying trim all practice, but you as a team, you guys always like to start in race trim. Why is that?
We have different reasons for it every week, but for us, I think it just kind of gives us a rhythm, get back out there, figure out what line you want to run for qualifying. That's the big thing here. It's so wide, you don't really know where you want to be sometimes, so you figure out what works best for you as a driver and with your car, and then switch over. So that's the reason why we do it, at least this time.
All right, thanks, Joey. Joey looking for his first win here at Auto Club Speedway.
There's a little debrief going on there.
And those hands moving around the way Joey Logano's displaying them right there, that tells you how much the drivers have their hands full at this place here at Auto Club Speedway. They're such big corners, a lot of bumps. The car is going to dance around and jump all over the place, but your foot's going to stay wide open to the floor.
Now, the thing about what we're seeing today, though, we're in qualifying trim, which means you have a very aggressive setup in the car. You got shocks that have a lot of rebound. You want to hold that car right down on the racetrack as tight as you can. We get ready to race, so a lot of times we see that package kind of go away. You get into a race situation where the car rides those bumps a little smoother. But not right now.
Guys, when I look at Team Ganassi, who's first and second right now with about 25 minutes to go, I really like what Matt McCall and Chad Johnson, the crew chiefs for Larson and McMurray, did. Chad Johnston, he had Kyle Larson make a 10-lap race run and then straight to qualifying trim. Matt McCall had McMurray make a 14-lap race run straight to qualifying trim. I feel like running 10 to 14 laps, we're not seeing that a lot, but that's almost a third of a race run when it comes to a fuel run on Sunday. So I like the agenda they had there.
Caution in turn 4, and it's Jimmy Johnson having trouble in turn 4.
Yeah, I just saw him going around down there. Got a lot of damage to the left side, looks like.
I think he's going to have some damage to that splitter, too. He got in the grass pretty hard with that. You can see it bent up there.
The hood is not buckled, but I'm sure it's not good. It took a good divot.
That's a divot, all right.
I get that.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's an odd place to see a car spinning.
I think he was just gone out, too. You think he was on stickers, maybe? Car just didn't have the heat in the tires?
We believe he's just starting a lap.
Let's see what happens.
Crosses over that seam.
Car gets a little loose, and then, man, around she goes right down in front of Kurt Busch.
He made contact with Kurt Busch in Daytona.
Oh my
made
gosh.
contact again. That wouldn't been good. But this is what Jimmy...
Yikes.
What's amazing about Jimmy Johnson, he can save a car more than anybody I've ever seen. This guy, I've seen him spin and never hit anything. It was just unfortunate that the grass caught the nose because he actually did an amazing job saving the car again.
You know who we need to ask about this? Kurt Busch.
Yeah, he had a great view of it.
He saw it right in front of him.
They're not wasting any time.
No, I think you don't have time. You can't repair damage.
Before qualifying, they would be able to start the race where they qualify, as long as it has the race engine when presented for qualifying. Yeah. But that's going to be tough to get out there on the racetrack prior to qualifying.
So we're under the red flag here as they clean up in turn 4.
Man, look at that mess.
from Jimmy Johnson, and the 48 team still weighing whether to fix that primary car or go to the one on the truck. Is completing a mock qualifying lap down on the bottom. They're at turn number 4. Where the car got away from him. Last year's winner here at Auto Club Speedway.
He carried it sideways for a good bit.
Jeff, I think when you look at it, he went across that bump. It upset the car, and then he lost it. Vince, what you got, pal?
Well, we'll ask Jimmy exactly what he was experiencing during that incident.
Yeah, a lot of loose. Qualifying has been tough on us for the last few years, and we just showed up the track swinging hard and trying to get all that we can. Crossed the line there for sure, and a car came around on me. But we got another great Lowe's Chevrolet coming out. I thought we might be able to stick with this one, but that divot we took was just too much on the front end of the race car. So not the way we want to start the weekend, but the only way we're going to get better without testing is just to keep trying harder in practice and swing harder. We know we've got the race side in a respectable spot. It's just starting better on Fridays.
Close to Kurt there as you came around the corner and you're spinning and Kurt Busch is right there. What's going through your mind and what are you doing in the car to keep from collecting him in that process?
I knew I was fine. I'm sure it kind of caught him off guard seeing a car come by sideways. I was really concerned about sliding up in front of others and getting into the outside wall. And I actually threw it into third and redirected the car lower on the track. Kind of wishing I stayed with it and let it slide up in the road. Maybe I would have avoided the grass if I did so. So just trying to manage it all and a little wave at Kurt on the way by. And now we're in the back of the car.
Good insight. Thanks, Jimmy.
If you want to know why he's a 7-time champion, because most race car drivers are just holding on tight in that situation. This guy's thinking through, let me see, how can I keep the car from going to the outside wall? I'll go to third gear here. Oh, let me wave to Kurt as I'm going by. Whoops. Unfortunately, I redirected the wrong place and put it in the grass. But unbelievable. I've seen Jimmy save cars that normally would have been destroyed. And this car, yeah, he's going to backup, but it's not destroyed. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, that makes a good backup car now. They'll just put that up in the truck in case they might need it.
And tomorrow, Darrell, you were saying you wanted to go up to the top of Mount Baldy?
Yeah, I love
Jimmy's going to lead a 45-mile bicycle ride to the top of Mount Baldy again this year, tomorrow.
I'll wave as they go by.
Okay.
Hi, boys.
Joey Logano to 4th on the practice chart, behind Larson, McMurray, and Hamlin.
I could probably come down that. I don't think I could meet him at the top and come down that mountain. That's what I'll do.
Check your brake package. Ryan Newman on a lap here.
Now, I'll be very surprised if Jimmy Johnson gets out in that car. 15 minutes left to go, so we might see him fire off qualifying with a car that has not been on track yet, which these guys are professionals. They know how to make that happen, but still, that's after the incident just happened and the car's not been on track, that's going to be pretty interesting for those guys.
We're watching Newman here. He's 11th quick. Remember, earlier in practice, he was up to 2nd, so it just shows how much everybody's picked up. He hadn't really picked up that much since his initial run. 11th quick. It's respectable.
Very. Okay, coolest wrap job in Southern California this whole weekend. Now, we're kind of children of the 50s and 60s.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, but I grew up in the back of a wood grain station wagon. It was Pontiac Bonneville, only had wood grain on the tailgate in 66. But all up and down the street, all the moms had Ford Country Squires. Most of them were white with red interior, or black, and a lot of wood. This is so cool. Levine Family Racing, congratulations, hats off. That is just a cool wrap right there.
That's fun.
Got a 34 wagon, and we call it a Woody. Woohoo! Jan and Dean,
yes,
Surf City. Here we go.
Some say.
Last night in Los Angeles at the Peterson Museum on Wilshire Boulevard, Richard Petty was presented the Robert E. Peterson Lifetime Achievement Award. 300 people on hand, raised a lot of money for the Peterson Museum and the Petty Family Foundation. And we were very proud to be able to be there, and Jeff and I to help honor the king.
80 years young.
Let's take a look at today's Can-Am fastest lap times, led by Team Ganassi, Kyle Larson, Jamie McMurray.
They've been impressive this year. I mean, Larson, 4 of the last 5 races, I think he's been 2nd place. Is that right?
3 in a row.
Yeah, 3 in a row. That's amazing. And that it's a great tribute to the talent of the two drivers, and Jamie McMurray and Kyle Larson, their crew chiefs. But I got to say, I'm impressed with Chip Ganassi Racing, what they've done. And I made a little mistake a couple weeks ago talking about who builds their chassis. They've always built their own chassis, and they do. Obviously they've stepped it up from chassis aero, R&D that they're doing, because the performance is certainly showing up, and the talent is following that.
Yeah, Chad Johnson, his crew chief, said about the middle or latter part of last year they really got onto something, and the cars really started to perform.
Now, the record for consecutive second-place finishes, I believe, is 4, and it's shared by 4 drivers, and I think you two are included in those 4, with, I think, Harry Gant and Mark Martin.
People remember yours. They don't remember mine.
But still, that has to be both thrilling and frustrating all at the same time to keep finishing second.
I never complained about finishing second.
When you're trying to win a championship, those second places mounted up. That's all I know.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we went the right direction there, although I'll talk to you.
I'm corrected. Mark Martin, Harry Gant, Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty. 4 consecutive second-place finishes.
Hey, look at that tied uniform, boys. I don't know what happened to Harry's hat, though.
I think they put on.
That's a hat on top of that.
That was in post. They put that on.
Now, Jeff had 3 straight second-place finishes on 2 different occasions.
Doesn't count.
Well, no, it's not 4, but it's, come on.
Where's the 4 wins in a row?
No, we're not talking about that.
Here's Vince.
You guys were talking about Rusty Rush a little bit earlier today. Rush Truck Center, the sponsor for Clint Boyer today. That's Rusty on the right-hand side. Of course, Clint. And look at Rusty's Speed Shop adorning the helmet, and I want to tell you how happy and excited Rusty Rush was today to see that helmet. Clint told him, he said, bring it over, come over here, and I want to show you my helmet. And when Rusty saw the paint scheme on that helmet, he was so excited today. Rush Truck Center is, of course, the sponsor for Clint. And then also, as Jamie reported earlier, came to aid for the 77 team from Furniture Row after they were involved in that accident on the way from Las Vegas here to California. Big weekend for Rusty Rush.
Yeah, very cool. So you're telling me Clint Boyer traded his old Rusty helmet for a new Rusty helmet?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Kyle Larson on it, 38.08. That is the fast time of the day. And one of 2 drivers faster than the existing track record. Jamie Mack, his teammate, is the other. Let's see what we get here.
He really got to the line.
He's coming to the line,
earlier than the last run. Didn't look terrible.
Didn't look terrible. 38.40, 3/10 difference
compared to 38.08.
Well, yeah,
that's not terrible, but it's not good.
I'm curious, DW, was that the second time out on that set of tires? Yeah. Because they're going to go round 2, round 3. Hopefully that's what they do for qualifying later today to get to that final round.
Let's watch Harv here. He goes down the back. Let's see what kind of body language we get here. Bump, bump. Bump, boom, boom. Shaking him around pretty good as he gets down to turn 3. Big bump right there just before you get to turn 3. Kind of smooths out once you get in the corner here, but it's really rough getting into turn 3 back there.
Well, you can hear he's trying to get back to wide open. We saw what happened with Jimmy Johnson. He's shaking his head. I don't think he liked it.
That thing ain't right.
Your hand.
Whoa, he liked it. 38.22, second fastest lap of the day.
Obviously, he felt like he could go a lot faster than that.
All right, good job. P2 so far.
Come on, Kevin, give us something.
Yeah. No, why were you shaking your head? maybe it's just bouncing that much.
No, I think you could tell when he went back to the throttle, it jumped out a little bit on him, and it didn't stick right down to the white line. So I think that's something they'll work on, try to make it better where they can go to the number 1 slot on the time sheet. Maybe not now, but for qualifying later.
Yeah, he's still about a 10th and a half off of what Larson put up there, that 38.08. That's pretty impressive.
Chase Elliott is 12th with a 38.52. Let's see what this lap brings.
About 195 there at the start-finish line.
A little quicker.
Yeah, 10th quick.
38.44, 10th fastest. And here comes Denny Hamlin who is fourth with a 38.37. That's 187.6 miles per hour.
Ooh,
oh, yeah, 38.20. He is second. Backup car for Jimmy Johnson. 3.5 minutes to go in this practice session, and they're still working on getting that car set up and ready to go. As this practice session draws to a close, here's what happened to Johnson. He was on a mock qualifying run, spun up in turn 3 and 4. Kurt Busch down on the apron there, taking evasive action, and dug up enough with that front splitter to bend up enough under that car that they elected the backup.
I just think it looked like when he went into 3, there's a bump over there. He hit that bump and it started from there. The car got a little out from under him and he just kept chasing it until it spun.
And I think that's something that everybody's going to be dealing with, not just today for qualifying, but throughout the whole weekend. There is a pretty significant bump, as you said there, DW. And as low as they run these cars, the car's loaded up in that spot. As you get there, it'll smack that splitter and just upset the car just enough and get you off your line, maybe a few inches or a foot. When that happens, you're trying to make up for it, or you're now don't have the angle that you want. You can see every car come through there, the back of the car, the front of the car, and then off the exit, you saw the back end step out for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It's just a cause and effect.
Yeah, Dale, he was really loose into turn number 3 there.
Yeah, he didn't move up.
38.60 for Dale Jr.
Can't get the throttle off of turn 4 still.
Jamie?
It's Jamie and Jamie again. Jamie out of the car. You guys ran in race trim there and then qualifying trim at the end. Did you get a good handle on what to expect for qualifying tonight?
Yeah, so we unloaded in race trim, just try to get an idea of the tire wears. This track is super abrasive and we've had a lot of issues here from tires. So we got a good baseline there and then did a sticker run and a scuff run. I'm really happy with our McDonald's Chevy. Our sticker run I didn't drive quite hard enough. Then Matt and Josh made a few adjustments and we went back out and made our scuff run and the balance was quite a bit better. So we're going to kind of tweak on a little bit here and look forward to qualifying tonight.
Once again, the Ganassi cars with a lot of speed. Jamie McMurray going for his 3rd pole here, guys.
Thanks, Jamie and Jamie. Daniel Suarez, as time winds down, minute 15 to go in this session. Everyone except Jeffrey Earnhardt has been on track for at least 1 lap of practice in this session. Ryan Blaney currently 7th with a 38.40.
See what Blaney put up?
38.85. Saw him day before yesterday over at Fox. He and Bubba Wallace were over at the Fox lot, meeting with Fox Sports execs and taking a little tour.
They are 2 funny young men.
Yes, they are.
Did you see that video that Bubba Wallace put out of Blaney? And then Ryan responded, "Oh, actually, it's going to be pick on Ryan." Those two have a lot of fun on social media together.
A couple of characters.
Brad Keselowski just went 206 miles an hour into turn 3 on that lap. 38.53. That's 8/100ths off his best lap, which currently is 10th quickest. Clint Boyer finishing up practice here. Red and black flags are in the air. We're done. Kyle Larson's won practice.